If a psychopathic Aussie who creates jerky out of humans that he hunts caught you lacking trying to glamp in the Wandarra National Park, what would you do? In this How to Beat video, I'm going to break down the mistakes Sasha made, what you should do, and how to beat the human hunter in Apex. Sasha and her husband Tommy are multi-day rock climbing the troll wall in Norway using cams, just hanging out. Yeah, that. One of the overhangs is causing some real problems for Sasha. It's wide, sloped, and icy. Seeing a storm rolling in, Tom makes the call for them to pop the tent and ride it out until better weather in the confines of their mobile sleeping bag. Tom convinces Sasha to let the pitch go and rappel down to safety, so they don't have to breathe each other's air for another 2 days while Sasha wears down their cams, repeatedly falling 20 feet off the overhang. What I gotta wonder is why they wouldn't wait until the storm was gone. It's dark, cold, rainy, and windy. I can't think of a worse time to downclimb 2,000 feet of cliff face. I mean, giant rocks are falling on top of their heads. It looks like the entire cliff face is shearing off from the storm. You could say they're down climbing because of the loose rocks falling on them from the storm, but then if the rock was this loose to begin with, it seems remarkably dangerous and stupid to be climbing it. I see no reason for the urgency though, because the overhang that Sasha was falling off of was right above them and would have provided sufficient cover from falling rocks. If for some reason it didn't, which it does, they should have down climbed to a safer position before the storm hit. Waiting until a Cat 6 hits to reposition is unwise. Now they're in a rush, they can't see or hear well, and everything is slick and wet. A recipe for disaster. Tom asks Sasha if she tied a stopper knot on the rappel line, just in case he falls and can't break himself, and to prevent him from accidentally rappelling off the end of the rope. Sasha yells that she did, then yells, wait, oh actually she didn't. Unfortunately, he doesn't hear her in time. To back up a second, typically the rappeller would tie the stopper knot before letting the rope ends fall, because your life depends on it. And it's generally not best practice to rely on your partner 20 feet below you to tie your life-critical knots. That's what you call a trust fall. Nerds, if you're struggling to quit vaping, smoking, or nicotine in general, Fume is built for you. Quitting is hard because you're not just breaking the nicotine part, you're breaking the routine. You're used to reaching for something, having something in your hand, taking that quick hand-to-mouth hit when you're bored, stressed, or just running on autopilot. Those moments that your willpower wanes even a bit. That's the loop that Fume is designed to interrupt. Fume is a flavored air device made to help you quit vaping and smoking by giving you something better to reach for when cravings show up. No nicotine, no batteries, no vapor. You just draw flavored air through it, so your hands and mouth still have something to do without going back to the old habit. And that's what I like about it. It gives you a simple replacement for those moments where you would normally reach for your vape or cigarettes. Just like how you can't expect to stick to a restrictive diet. You need healthier replacements that still give you that satisfying feeling of relief, which don't also ask you to compromise your habits or subconscious behaviors. The flavors are lighter than vaping, kind of like flavored water compared to soda. Crisp mint is the strongest and probably the best pick if you're a heavier user. Raspberry's tangy and on the sweeter side. Right now, when you grab a Journey pack, you'll get a free Fume topper with code NERDEXPLAINS. The topper adds a soft, replaceable, chewable mouthpiece, so your mouth has something safe to chew when cravings hit. Head to tryfume.com. That is tryfume.com. And use code NERDEXPLAINS to get your free Fume topper with your Journey pack. For whatever reason, in the chaos of the storm, the rope ends must have been let down prematurely, which is still okay, if not ideal, because like I said, your partner can still tie the knots for you. What's not okay, ever, in any circumstance, is telling your climbing partner you tied their life-saving knot when you didn't. Now, I'm not a pro climber by any means, but in my experience, if a knot needs to be formed, a carabiner clipped, or a device placed before a move is to be made, that thing gets checked, double checked, and triple checked. This is the fundamental basis of rock climbing safety, to ensure you don't die. Sure, I get that they're in a hurry and the conditions are bad, but that's exactly when it matters the most. Right when Tommy unclips from the wall, a big rock bonks him on the head, knocking him unconscious and sending him careening down the cliff face. Now the only thing attaching his limp body to the wall is Sasha's death grip on the rappel line end, to prevent it from ripping up out of her hand and backing out through the top anchor. And I guess whatever cams that she hastily shoved into a crevice above her that's now barely holding both of their weight. Sasha can't hold the rope end down forever. Not even for 20 seconds before her muscles give out. Reminds me of that Tim Dillon bit about people wanting to live interesting, exciting lives. Well, you got what you wanted, because this is certainly interesting and exciting. So when you get back home and have to tell the story of how Tom fell to his death, are you gonna say he unhooked from the anchor and attempted to rappel before you got the stopper knot finished, then a rock hit him in the head? Or are you gonna be honest and say you accidentally told him you tied the knot when you didn't? Just curious if this is gonna be an old widow's tale. 5 months after that little accident, Sasha's out adventuring off-grid through Australia's outback. When she gets to the park center and takes a good look at the Wandarra National Park map, a ranger informs her that going out alone is a good way to end up missing, like the other 100 people who have a missing persons poster planted on the wall. This wall is entirely glossed over, but holy shit, that is a lot of missing people. Surely, all these people cannot simply be getting lost. Okay then. Sasha tells him she's dead set on going anyway, so the park ranger asks her if she's some kind of adrenaline junkie. Sasha's all like, yeah, at least she signs in, writing down where she's headed. She's going to the Grand Isle Narrows for some extreme kayaking. Everyone at the gas station's basically a single creepy dude. Sasha's a bit lost looking at the map, so she asks one of the not-so-creepy ones for directions, then heads off on her way. As she's about to bed in for the night at a camping spot, those creepy guys from the gas station pull in behind her, blocking her only way out, to skin a deer right there on the river shore. Sasha does the only thing that she can really do: get in her car, lock the doors, and pray they don't bust the window and pull her out. If I'm Sasha, unarmed, out here by myself for some dumb reason, after all the locals have been eyeing me up as a piece of meat, no shot am I standing around in the open when trucks roll in. I'm ditching off into the land where they can't see or find me. Sure, they could ransack your truck, but what are you gonna do about it? It's 3 hunters with rifles and a dog. Best believe if they'd ransack your vehicle, they would do a lot worse to you. She had to been out driving around for a while, and this is a pretty remote area, so her getting tracked out here is extremely concerning. Because if you're getting tracked out here and never saw their trucks behind you, that means they were following your vehicle's fresh tracks, which means this is a very remote area with nobody else to hear you scream. The dudes finish hogging the deer carcass or whatever and eventually bail. Judging from the smile on Sasha's face the next morning while kayaking some pretty sick rapids, the high risk of getting turned out was totally worth it. For those 10 minutes or less, she's free from thinking about her husband falling 2,000 feet and exploding on the rocks below because of her mistake. After those 10 minutes, it's back to reality where Aussie goons are stalking her, stealing her bags, putting snakes in her tent. Yeah, I'm out of here. If it's those creepy dudes from the gas station, she has had ample warnings to leave and not come back by now. If it's not the creepy guys from the gas station, then you possibly have even bigger problems, because now an unknown stalker is messing with you. It's time to cut your losses, so to speak, and dip out while you still can. Sasha instead thinks her bags must have got up and swam down the river, and kayaked down after them, where she finds another camper living in what looks like Yoda's crib down in Dagobah. The campfire's still lit, so she pops around saying hello. "What's the plan here, princess? Did you really want to go face to face with whoever stole your bags and is living in this witch's hut covered in meat hooks? Your ego's writing checks your skinny, unarmed cannot cash. Wouldn't you know it? It's the other guy from the gas station who directed her to this exact secret camping spot. What a surprise that he's here." Sasha is apparently under the impression that a wombat snatched her gear, because she's not at all suspicious of the other human less than a minute's float down the river. She's like a video game NPC. Must have been the wombats. Of course, she also gets baited into having a one-on-one sit-down with this guy. Reminds me of that movie I covered where two church girls got baited into waiting on the old man wife's blueberry pie. The answer is no, I'm not having a sit-down with you. Forget about the gear, I'm gone. Anyone with a shred of common sense around a lone woman hiking in the backwoods knows that she's gonna be on guard and is not looking for a companion. So the man in this situation, if he's decent at all, will give her space and an easy way out without applying any undue social pressure on an already tense person. So this dude insisting that she stay for food when she's trying to find her lost gear and be on her way is very sketchy. F your I insist. I'm trying to find my phone and leave, and you well know that. Sasha's been out of the game for a while, and she's not too good with small talk.
You named beef jerky after your mom?
Yeah.
Well, she must be really flattered.
That was a bit out of pocket. It's okay, he'll save the punchline on what's in that beef jerky until after she's already drunk from his tree canteen. Which she does, without question, and eats all of his freshly prepared food. Zero survival instincts on this one. I will be shocked if he didn't lace it with something.
Let me guess. You broke up and your boyfriend got the mountains and you got the rivers. Am I right?
The conversation takes quite a turn when Ben starts talking about how well she handled the hunters last night, because he was there watching her too. While she's still processing that new information, he returns from his hut wielding a crossbow, carrying a boombox and her bag. He tells her he restocked her backpack, busted her phone, but gave her a few things to level the playing field, and that she has until the end of the song to get as far away as she can before the hunt is on. Ah, so this is what happened to all those missing people. Gotta say, statistically speaking, your odds are not looking good. There are two main disadvantages here. One, he's got a crossbow and you're empty-handed. Two, he knows the terrain significantly better than you do. But little does Ben know, Sasha's got an advantage of her own. Her massive ego simply will not allow her to lose. Ben is absolutely jamming out. By the time Sasha reaches the kayak, the song ends and the hunt is on. Going for the kayak is predictable. I would not do that. You know that he knows that you would likely go for the kayak. What I would do is run towards the kayak so he thinks that I am, then float the kayak into the river so that it looks like you went that direction, then go the opposite way. The problem with kayaking out in a rush is those rapids were intense. And if you get injured, you are going to be up creek without a paddle. Literally. You also have zero cover from arrows. And you're not that significantly faster than a guy running. So again, I would try to dupe him into running downstream. At the river's edge, I would take a second to grab the compass, maybe some water and a snack, then ditch the rest of the bag. Who knows if he threw a tracker in there? I'm not taking the chance. Send the kayak down the river as a decoy, and before I head out, dunk myself in the river real quick to wash off any scent that I'm carrying. Then J-hook around, hide, watch which way he goes, and once he's committed to a direction, go back and check his hut for any decent supplies or weapons before quickly torching the place using some loose brush and a shirt lit from his campfire. One, because f*** him. Two, it might stall him while he scrambles to put it out and secure his shit. 3, who knows what Sasha's got on her? Deodorant, bug spray, scented lotion. The smoke could help cover whatever scent the river didn't wash off. Now, burning his hut down does reveal your last known position, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword. But if you've already broken contact and moved unpredictably, you should be long gone by the time that he realizes his house is on fire, because he'll have no idea which way you went. And with enough distance, the search area will expand exponentially. But again, that only works if you're moving in an unpredictable direction. If you paddle straight downriver in a kayak that he's already expecting you to take, you get none of that benefit. Sasha races to her kayak, takes the time to suit up in her wetsuit, and rips down the rapids as fast as she can while Ben races after her. Ow. She takes her wetsuit off, throws it in the river, and heads out. Along the way, she hears what sounds like voices, so she runs up to the top of the ridge shouting hello. Not a good idea to be making a bunch of noise when you have no idea who or what is making that sound. Even if it were innocent hikers, Ben could still be nearby and drawn to their voices too. This is not the time to be trusting anything or anyone or acting in any sort of predictable manner. It also stands to reason he could move about as fast as the kayak on foot, and once she stopped to take the wetsuit off, he could have run past her and set up an ambush ahead, which he did. Yep, it was just a phone on speaker, a sound trap laid by Ben. Given that this is a trap and your attacker has a crossbow, you should probably get your head down and start running.
Are you gonna catch a predator?
I reckon he missed on purpose. Putting one through the side of her head this early in the game would kill the fun. Somehow, Sasha runs in a direction that provides absolutely zero defilade from Ben's firing position, taking an arrow to the knee and several more nearly hitting her. She eventually falls off an embankment, which actually gets her out of the line of fire. She falls off a cliff into the rapids below and gets swept into a cozy little waterfall cove, or whatever you call it, where she stands around in the open trying to text her way out. Here's the thing about that nice little secluded area. As nice and secret as it looks, that is exactly what makes it a bad resting spot. Ben knows she fell in the river. He knows where these rapids spit people out. He's been living here for God knows how long. He absolutely knows about this spot. So you need to get away immediately and find a random bush to hide in while you catch your breath and cake your white arms in mud camo. Out in the open, Sasha eats her protein bar, drinks some water, chucks the broken phone, and stuffs the pepper spray in her backpack's side pouch. All this is fine, but I would have pocketed the pepper spray if possible, or tucked it in my waistband or up front in my underwear. If I'm wandering around close quarters caves, that can is in my hands. If you round a corner and bump into Ben somehow, you will not be able to access it if it's buried in your backpack's pocket. Free climbing out is a debatable move. She's tired and injured, but if it is truly a dead end, would he even expect her to be able to climb out? Probably not, so it's also probably worth the risk. You could argue that she could hide in the cave, wait for him to come looking, then pepper spray and attack him. Sasha getting into a hand-to-hand fight with Ben is not likely to go well, even with him pepper sprayed. Maybe I'd go for this if she had a knife. God, Sasha is just not inconspicuous at all, standing fully silhouetted on top of the ridge like that. You might as well shout,
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
You should move. If he checked that cove, didn't find you, and figured you climbed out the top, he's already tracking up behind you as we speak. Nope, she's comfortable right here. From the ridge, she spots Ben's canoe through her binoculars. Do not tell me your plan is to jack his canoe and what, ride it down the rapids? Or paddle it 3 miles an hour upstream back to your tent? Just walk. Boats are the least stealthy, most vulnerable, slowest option. I would say this move is predictable, but only if he thinks that you are an absolute idiot, which he probably does by now, so he's probably expecting it. Sure enough, the cheeky bugger tracked her up to the iconic lookout spot above the river's end. She down climbs back into the cave area, hides, then pops back up when she thinks that he's left. Somehow this works. because Ben had apparently gone off to listen to music and rope swing skinny dip in the water. Taking full advantage of Ben not actively hunting her, Sasha swims over right next to him to try to jack his canoe. This is unbelievably stupid for extremely obvious reasons. Just run alongside the river back to your stuff. Find the trail up to the road, follow it back into town. Even if you drove an hour to get here at 30 miles an hour, that's 30 miles. That's like a 10-hour walk to save your life. I'll take a long walk over playing pin the tail on my ass with a naked crossbow psycho. Let's see how her bold strategy works out. Not well. She gets a good pepper spray in on his face, but her leg is stuck in a bear trap and he has a crossbow. Now she's hogtied at the campsite, awaiting what I can only imagine is a very sick fate. The next day, he chains her to his canoe, drags her out to the rapids, forces her to rappel into another watering hole, and hauls her up to his secret hunting lodge / meat processing plant, where he makes his gas station famous jerky. It's humans. The jerky's made from human meat. Sasha's life expectancy and options are not looking good. She tries the sympathy play, tells him that she thinks bad things happen to him and she's sorry. Ben looks down, pulls his dentures out, and oh my god, Ben is a vampire. Well, that didn't work. Now she's strung up even higher. Her only real play here is to say something that incites him, get him close enough that she could at least try to hurt him somehow. That's basically what she does, distracting him from his murder ritual by talking about his mother in one of the pictures. Ben is a certified sick whose worldview is adopted from historical cannibal tribes, where they ate the person to consume their soul and keep them forever. Jenno, his mother, was his first kill, and soon Sasha will always be with him too. When he moves in to hug her, Sasha wraps her legs around him and bites his ear. The weight of both of them swinging from the cable causes the tow line to give, dropping them both to the ground. Lucky. I'd have given that a much lower probability of working. That move was more of a, I'm taking a piece of you too, and hopefully somebody notices your bitten off ear, rather than a survival strategy. Now free, Sasha leaps into the nearby rushing current. Ben jumps in after her, carabinering himself to her line. They both go over the waterfall and get swept out to the river's mouth. Lucky for Sasha, Ben cracks his head on a rock and goes temporarily unconscious as they wash out. Where Sasha goes wrong is wasting time waiting around looking for a rock and pulling Ben up enough to land a good shot, giving him time to regain consciousness. Her next move is to try to drown him by shoving his head into the shallow water. Super unlikely to work. Ben's a strong dude. He can push off the floor, duck his head, or buck her off with his legs. What she should have done is what she eventually tries to do: choke him. But she just kind of puts her hands around his throat and pulls, which can't form a tight enough seal because the cuffs are too rigid and wide and the chain link is too thick. What she should have done is looped the cable around his neck once and yanked. The thinner cable forms a much tighter choke, and being wrapped around even once makes it nearly impossible to get his fingers under, or to knock her forward and break the tension. After looping it around his neck, she should wrap her legs around him the same way she did back in the cave, so he can't throw her off. With the proper choke sealed, he'll be unconscious in seconds, and dead after a few more minutes. Now she's the one getting choked out. Lucky for her again, Ben releases his grip for absolutely no reason other than not wanting to damage her pretty face or something. Sasha takes the opportunity to elbow him, then slams a rock down on his tib fib and obliterates it. Ben gives her a good shot to the head in return, and now they're both lying next to each other staring at the stars. The next morning, they both look around and realize there's cliffs on all sides. Very tall cliffs. Sasha somehow concludes that the only way out is to tandem climb it, and thus needs to saddle herself with Ben's dead weight, using his very limited rope supply as makeshift passive protection on an uncharted cliff face while exhausted, injured, dehydrated, and chained to the man who spent the last 2 days trying to eat her. To me, it is completely insane to tie yourself to an unpredictable psychopath using your own knotted rope as passive protection. Ben's got maybe 100 feet of climbing rope. The cliff is easily 10 times that. And this would be her only option if they were truly surrounded by 1,000-foot cliffs on all sides, which they aren't. Sasha, how did you end up here? You went over a waterfall that's maybe 100 or 120 feet tall. I would try climbing back up the side of the waterfall, traverse up to the spout, backtrack to his camp, check for more gear, then retrace the whole route back to my car. It's not like the top of these cliffs is any closer. Ben says it's a 12-day walk, which is ridiculous. It only took them a couple of short float trips to get here. I say, throw rocks at his head from a safe distance until he's dead, take his rope and harness, uncuff yourself, and solo climb back up the waterfall in peace. I bet she could free climb it easily. Anyway, she makes it up kind of close-ish to the top, ties off to a weak branch, and starts working her harness halfway off to cut Ben loose. Ben figures out what's happening and yanks on the harness to stop her, which just pulls it the rest of the way off. Unfortunately, Sasha didn't think of a sweet one-liner before she untied his rope anchor. Total missed opportunity to caw back at him. Caw! Obviously, her climb is gonna harken back to the crux that she originally failed at before she got Tommy killed. Before Tommy's untimely demise due to an unfortunate extraneous circumstance. Why in the hell would you execute Ben while you still needed him for the tandem climb? You literally consumed your rope and harness for the vendetta just before the most difficult part of the route. A route you've never climbed before, obviously, and thus have no idea if right above the overhang is a barren, slick rock face which would force you to make a side traverse, or worse, a down climb, then side traverse. To Sasha's decision, Ben can't be trusted, because it's possible that right when she would summit the cliff and anchored the rope, Ben could simply yank her back off the cliff using his tether to her harness. With his rope anchored to the summit and Sasha now below him, and of no more use, he could cut a rope and ascend to the top himself. But this wouldn't really be the case, because when Sasha anchored off again, she still anchored to the ground/wall. So if he yanked her harness, it wouldn't do anything. Then all she has to do is take her harness off and unclip his rope from the carabiners. This way, she's already at the top and doesn't need to complete the most difficult climb of her life on an uncharted cliff face of unknown reliability, while exhausted, injured, famished, and dehydrated. No chance anyone realistically survives this climb unless you're Alex Honnold or Adam Ondra. My god, she did it. She overcame all of her physical, emotional, and spiritual obstacles in life. Tommy's angels looking down on her, so proud. She's finally free from her past. Well, she does have that 12-day hike back to town, I guess. Oh, lucky. Some good Samaritans just happened to be driving right by and offered her a ride back into town. There, she informs the park ranger that she knows where all the bodies are, in that cave deep in Wandarra National Park. At the water's edge, she gives Tommy's compass one last kiss and releases him to the ocean's waves. Ultimately, Sasha only really survived because Ben tried to keep it interesting. Though, I think had she played her first move less predictably, or at least not gone for the canoe, she would have had a solid shot of never being found by Ben in the first place. For that reason, I'd say the human hunter in Apex could have been beaten. Moral of the story, don't go hiking in areas where 100 people went missing. Thanks to Fume for sponsoring this video.